So if so what happened with COVID-19 is that the what happened is we were here under COVID-19. The economy was inefficient with COVID. So inefficient, and we did not use all of our resources when COVID-19 happened. If we didn't have COVID-19 pandemic, we would be in an efficient outcome. And then 2020 and 2021 we would be efficient. So COVID-19 caused inefficiency and a recession in our economy. So we would have been efficient if COVID-19 didn't happen. And then we would have been able to grow our economy more towards from A to B if we didn't have COVID-19 as a pandemic. And so, yeah, it would have been a lot better if COVID-19 did not happen for our economy. And in this case, this is the circular flow diagram. And the question is, what has COVID-19 done to the flows of revenues and goods and services in corner C, and to the flows of goods and services, the costs and resources in corner D? So in this case, we would have had less income, we would have had less consumption, and we would have had less flow of goods and services. So we would have had less income, less consumption, less flow of goods and services, and this would have caused a recession. So COVID-19 caused a serious economic recession we had. And here in COVID-19, so this is what happened with the toilet paper industry. The demand for toilet paper in the offices reduced because people weren't going to the office, and demand would decrease. And that's what was shown in this graph here. They weren't buying toilet paper anymore because people weren't going to the office. And then people were all working from home, so home toilet paper demand increased. So the demand shifted from office to home. So it was this was very accurate to what was happening because the offices were mostly closed. So in this case, the social distancing was very important to slowing and preventing the spread of COVID-19 and keeping the spread down. And so what happened here is that there was reduced so based on the reduced amount of output based on all lockdowns, this was the efficiency loss. So there was a significant efficiency loss in the economy, but I think the reduction in spread and the reduction in the spread of the illness was worth it for the economic cost. In this case, I think the benefits of keeping the spread down were probably a lot more beneficial than the economic cost. So so the lockdowns were needed for, and the social distancing was needed to bring down the spread, and that was more important than the economic costs. So they likely did a cost benefit analysis on that. So then there was a lot of government failure in the COVID-19 crisis. The government moved slowly with myriad rules and regulations. There was a lack of preparation in Canada's nursing homes, retirement, and long-term care facilities, where 70 to 80% of deaths occurred. And the Canadian government had to send in the Canadian Armed Forces to care for the elderly. And there were not effective testing capabilities in provinces. And then there wasn't enough personal protective equipment for frontline healthcare workers. Then there was not enough coordination for sharing information among Canadian provinces. So there was a lot more demand for products like toilet paper, and this made the demand curve to become steeper and shift to the right. So this is what happened here with COVID-19. And then if price gouging were to occur, would consumers be more susceptible to price gouging at point A or point B? So I would say point B, because in point B, there was a lot of price gouging during the COVID-19 pandemic. And price gouging is when they increase the price to a very high level for necessities. And because there's such a need for this during the pandemic, that people would pay a lot of like very high prices for these products. So as a result, panic buyers want to purchase massive quantities of panic products in order to get much more utility as possible from the limited budgets. So in a panic buying situation, consumers get a high marginal utility per unit out of products. So the marginal utility per dollar of panic products like toilet paper becomes much higher than the marginal utility per dollar that buyers can obtain from purchasing non-panic products like blue jeans. So so this is where price gouging comes in, because the marginal utility is much higher for panic-based products. These price gougers were charging extremely high prices. So for like hand sanitizer, this hand sanitizer here, they charge $5.75 for one bottle, then $1.43 for if you buy 2 or more bottles. So this is price gouging right here. And then based on the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of factories were closed in China, and this reduced the amount of global trade. So there were not enough inputs coming in from China to Canada and other countries, and this hurt a lot of the trade we had with China. And then restaurant dining and air travel was reduced significantly, and there was a massive decrease in demand, and they wouldn't be able to pay for wages at these places. And then so it took a long time. They had to, because price was less than average variable cost, they'd shut down. So if price is less than average variable cost, they have to shut down. So so they did this. So airlines and restaurants had this situation. They had to wait until price was above average variable costs to open back up again. So that's what happened in COVID-19. So what happens to the firm if the selling price never again rises back to P normal? So in that case, so they would shut down in the short run if the price is below average variable cost, and they would shut down permanently in the long run if the price is less than average total cost. So like airlines and restaurants would have shut down for good if the price was below average total cost forever. So like, yeah, if they weren't able to bring the price above average total cost in the future, they would shut down completely. That would have been terrible. So competitive industries will end up with fewer firms. So in this case, a lot of firms leave the industry because it's just there's not enough profits. And then the collapse of demand caused by COVID-19 will adversely affect certain monopolies. So Via Rail's ridership dropped dramatically when COVID-19 lockdowns were imposed. And yeah, so monopolies may need government assistance too. So should every monopoly be plunged into negative profits by COVID-19 get bailout money? If not, which ones, if any? Certain ones should. So the monopolies that are required to people, so like railways, public transit, should get bailouts if they have negative profits. I would say like public transit, energy, because they're airlines, and say airlines too, because they are required by the public. And the public needs them. That's very important there. The monopolistic competitive industries are inefficient but bountiful in reality. So there's a lot of mom and pop shops that are independent, and then there are chain restaurants. So there's a lot of independent restaurants that had to shut down because they weren't able to survive the crisis, while chain restaurants were by a large portion compared to the mom and pop shops. And then demand for oil decreased substantially due to the lockdowns because of the reducing demands. Then the lockdown caused a lot of firms into bankruptcy. So bars, restaurants, live entertainment events, and airlines were most likely to go under. And this was an issue. And then there was the shutdowns caused the largest and fastest declines in labor demand ever seen. So yeah, the month-to-month change in employment was negative across the board. Then the government had to intervene in order to keep interest rates down, because interest rates would have went up if the government didn't intervene. So they had to keep the interest rate down to keep borrowing costs low, and this would be good to support the economy during the crisis. And we had to focus on manufacturing in other countries during the COVID-19 crisis because we had to diversify the places we get our manufacturing from just because of the reduction of manufacturing in China.